Trieste is a city in the northern part of the Adriatic Sea in the Gulf of Trieste. As a distinctive border town with the state border, it is completely separated from the city environment that belongs to Slovenia and is connected to Italy by only a narrow strip. Trieste is the largest seaport in the Adriatic Sea, especially important for the continentally closed Austria. In this part of the Adriatic, there is a great competition with the other two port cities, Koper in Slovenia and Rijeka in Croatia. Because of the proximity to the city of Koper, there are plans for a merger and the creation of one Adriatic port in the north. Beside maritime traffic, due to its nearness to the border, it is also an important commercial center. During the Cold War, it functioned as a window display of capitalism, and the Western powers forced the economic growth of the city. Even after the fall of the Iron Curtain, it kept the primate of being the main shopping destination for many residents of the former Yugoslavia, which remained as a habit of the population in Slovenia and Croatia until the entry of the foreign companies in these two countries. Once a peak coastal town, it now has about 210,000 inhabitants, as in the beginning of the last century. Trieste is turning into a city of old citizens, with over 27% retirees and less than 14% of the population under 18 years. Regardless of its demographic structure, the warm Mediterranean sun and city architecture never leave travelers unimpressed, and those who visit once always want to come again. There are many monuments, palaces, and churches, and the most interesting one is the one at the top of the town, which is cast in concrete to prevent the entrance of the Red Devil, a personification of communism. By the seashore is the central square of United Italy, built during the Habsburg monarchy. Here is the building of the town hall, and in the central part is the fountain of the four continents. Trieste, as a city of an EU member state, was an interesting visiting place for the Macedonian delegation, composed of 30 mayors from the Pelagonia, Polog, Northeast, Southwest, and Vardar regions, the head of the Bureau for Regional Development, managers of the Centers for Development of the Planning Regions, led by the Minister for Local Self-Government. The thematic trip was organized and financially supported by the GIZ-RED program. First, there was a meeting with the President of the province of Trieste, where the guests from Macedonia were presented the implemented projects of cross-border cooperation with Slovenia, for which over 320 million euros were invested from both sides. The accent was placed on the Italian approach for cluster association of companies for energy efficiency and marketing. From the Macedonian side, it was emphasized that in our country there are energy efficiency projects which are already being implemented, and the experience gained will be of great importance for applying for European funds. The cross-border cooperation is also present in Macedonia, with the opening of the IPA program with Albania, Greece, and recently Kosovo. The meeting was particularly important for mayors from bilingual backgrounds for the administration and operation of local self-governments. The practical presentation of the Italian approach for cluster association of companies for energy efficiency and marketing was carried out under the direction of Eric Schwab from Euroservice. On the meeting, they discussed cluster management of companies, financial instruments, and opportunities in Italy, and they also elaborated the project ONRI and the cross-border cooperation project on solid waste management and water from the river Socha. And the delegation visited the natural protected area San Dorlinga della Valle in the Dolina municipality, where the mayor Fulvio Primolin presented the system for preparation and financing of projects at local and regional levels. Interesting to say is that Trieste and its surroundings are bilingual, and it is mainly a multi-ethnic environment. In many municipalities, the first people are Slovenians, Italians, and their deputies, or vice versa. Also, all signs which have an official status are in both languages. At only 20 kilometers by land and 8 kilometers by sea, south of Trieste is the city of Koper. It is the only port city on the Slovenian Adriatic coast. It is also the center of the municipality and the largest town in the region, Primorska. The city of Koper has a long and rich history. In the antique period, it was known as Egida, and later the Romans named it Caprice, Capre, and Caprista. In honor of the Byzantine Emperor Justinian II, it was called Justinopol. In the war between Venice and the Holy Roman Empire, Koper was on the German side, and as a result was awarded with town rights granted by Emperor Conrad II. At the end of the 13th century, it was part of the Republic of Venice, when it became an administrative center of Istria, and it was called Capodistria, from which stems its modern Italian name, Capodistria. After the First World War, Koper, along with the whole coastline, falls under Italian administration, and in 1947 it became part of the Free Territory of Trieste. 7 years later, with its division, it became part of the Republic of Slovenia. With its height, the bells of the parish church Assumption of the Virgin dominates in the old part of the town. It was built in the 13th century when the city had its own bishop. It is located on Tito Square on its eastern side, and was extended in the 13th and early 18th century. Right next to it is the Praetorian Palace. It was one of the major architectural buildings in the city, a masterpiece of the Venetian masters. It received its current look in the 15th century, when semicircular windows were set on the facade. It is decorated with carved stone statues and coats. Opposite them is the Lodge's Palace, adorned with beautiful Venetian and Gothic arches. The old town is entered through the city port Muda, built in 1516 by Sebastian Contarini, and is the only one preserved from a total of 12 entrances. Inside the city walls is the Praseran Square, on the rim of which is the Fountain de Ponte, from 1666, named in honor of its patron Lorenzo de Ponte. The fountain is an octagonal pool surrounded by 15 pillars with the signs of noble families from the city of Koper. Near the marina is the Carpaccio Square that bears the surname of the famous painter Vittore. Here is his family house built in the 14th century. Especially interesting for visitors are the narrow streets, and above them rise the medieval buildings with colorful facades and terraces with stone overhangs. The climate is sub-Mediterranean, with temperatures that, even in winter, are not below zero, so the summer is a real lure for domestic and foreign tourists. Koper is among the 3 largest and most successful municipalities in Slovenia, with an annual budget of about 70 million. Much of the funds are provided by the European funds allocated for financing of energy efficiency projects. For this purpose, a regional strategy and an action plan was prepared by the Regional Agency for Energy Efficiency, Golea. The visitors in the Regional Development Agency of Primorska were presented with an elaborated plan for regional development and national funding after 2014, as well as the projects funded by the region from different sources. The municipality of Koper and the Trieste province are both bilingual environments. Apart from Slovenian, the second official language is Italian, and the minutes of meetings of the council, as well as all decisions and administrative matters, must be archived in both languages. This is not a problem, because every citizen here speaks Slovenian and Italian, as it was presented to us during our visit of the small settlement Hrvatini, where, in the school as in the others, Italian is taught as a compulsory subject from first grade. Here, they implemented a project for energy efficiency, i.e., instead of oil, the school uses heated gas, thus saving energy and preserving the environment. Seven kilometers west from Koper is the Slovenian coastal town of Izola, center of the municipality. Here on the city's hill, there is a landfill site for solid waste management, for which the host claimed that it offered the best panoramic view in Europe. During the visit of the public enterprise, they presented local management structures and waste processing, as well as the technology and the mode of operation. In the southwestern part of the Istrian Peninsula is one of the most beautiful Mediterranean cities on the Croatian coast, Pula. Inhabited from prehistoric times, it will reach its peak during Roman rule, when statuesque monuments were built and remain preserved to this day. The most representative building is the amphitheater, popularly called the arena, and the 6th largest in the world. Started in the time of Augustus Octavius and finalized with Vespasian, even after 20 centuries, the arena is still operational and is used to hold film festivals and various cultural events. However, the citizens of Pula overdid the commercialization of the object, and it is probably the only cultural historical monument which has been withdrawn from the list of UNESCO protection. From the 1st century BC is the triumphal Arch of the Sergi, built in the memory of the 3 brothers from the famous Roman eponymous family which participated in the Battle of Actium. The Sergi family retained its power for centuries ahead. 2 centuries later, they built a double door for entering inside city walls, with 2 arches, pillars, and decorated frieze. Pula today has less than 60,000 inhabitants and is a famous tourist destination. Croatia used resources from the EU funds until recently. Its experiences and good practices are still fresh when it comes to ways of application and the percentage of utilization of funds primarily for projects of regional significance. The degree of development of the country in this respect is very similar to ours, so meaning the 40-member delegation from Macedonia with the president of the Istria region was used for the exchange of experiences and ideas on the future approach to EU institutions. Croatia is a country that is administratively divided into counties, cities, and municipalities. Special attention is paid to the development of the regions and the Agency for Regional Development of Istria, for which the host said to be the oldest and most successful, and it works on providing financial resources after 2014, as well as on the establishment of financial agreements with the central government. Furthermore, this developing agency is working on preparation of the region for funding from the European Union after receipt. The lessons learned from the implementation of pre-accession assistance projects funded and implemented in the region of Istria were presented by the managers of the Centers for Metals Research, METRIS. The thematic trip ended with a visit to the Istrian Development Agency of Tourism in Pula, where they introduced the way of managing with the destinations, regional and local projects run by travel partners in the region of Istria, and was also considered the possibility for closer cooperation with agencies and municipalities in Macedonia. The decentralization process in Croatia is not fully completed, although after the 1st of July it became the 28th full member of the European Union. 90% of funds from taxpayers are entering into the national budget, and only 10% are distributed locally. This situation, according to them, is not sufficient and requires quick changes. For us, this percentage was 3.6, but we are glad that it is increasing over the years, so until the entrance of the Republic of Macedonia into the European family, it will have the opportunity to reach a satisfactory 15% if the increasing trends continue.